In the First World War, 24 nations supported the Allied nations and 4 nations supported the Axis nations. Initially, Germany made noteworthy victories in Europe. It ruined the French army. It fought many submarine wars and destroyed the ships of the Allied nations. Many soldiers and civilians died because of tanks and poisonous gases. In 1917, the Russian Revolution started, so Russia withdrew from the war. Germany was very strong at this time. It managed to drown an American steamer, Lusitania, in which 147 American soldiers died. Consequently, America joined the Allied nations for the war in April 1917. With that, countries like Panama, Greece, Cuba, China, and Siam joined the Allied nations. Thus, the Allied nations became stronger. The German army could not withstand the American troops. The whole position of the war changed. Bulgaria in September 1918, Turkey and Austria in October 1918 joined the Allied nations. The German leader Kaiser abdicated his position and ran away. Germany surrendered to Allied nations and signed a ceasefire treaty, and the war came to an end. The effects of the First World War were immediate and devastating. Approximately 65 million people took part in the war, with at least 10 million losing their lives. About 20 million were injured, and around 7 million were rendered permanently handicapped. More people died because of starvation, other forms of killings, and epidemics that broke out after the war. The total war expenditure was, well, quite high. During the war, since the majority of men from all nations were on the war front, women shouldered the responsibility of the family and occupation. They stepped out of their homes and successfully took over roles in various professional fields. Their self-confidence in being equivalent to men was enhanced. Consequently, the demand for women to exercise their franchise was raised. During the war, the production of basic necessities had reduced, leading to problems like scarcity, unemployment, starvation, strikes, and lockouts. People suffered a lot, and the condition of children was, frankly, pathetic. At the end of the First World War, the unconditional surrender of Germany to the Allied nations brought an end to the conflict. The Allied nations then undertook the peace process in Paris, forming about 58 commissions and organizing 145 sessions. The agreement made with Germany during the Paris peace process was signed in the Mirror Palace at Versailles. Thus, it came to be known as the Versailles Treaty. There were 4 main provisions in the Treaty of Versailles: regional arrangement, reduction in troops and disarmament, the distribution of gains at the end of the war and war fines, and other provisions. The American President Woodrow Wilson, British Prime Minister Lord George, French President Clemenceau, and Italian President Orlando played an important role in this treaty. Germany was found responsible for the war. A war fine of £6.5 billion was imposed on Germany. It had to give away the Ruhr region to France, and its Rhine River had to be opened for international sea route. The Rhineland region on the French border was disallowed from being a fortress, and this mineral-rich region was given away to France for 15 years. Most of the German organizations were confiscated. Alsace and Lorraine were to be returned to France. Besides this, Germany was to give to France and other Allied nations a large quantity of coal and iron annually as the benefits of war. Germany was made to sign these terms and conditions at gunpoint and forcibly, because of which there was bitterness and desperation amongst Germans. Consequently, the German economy failed miserably. Long-term effects. There was a feeling of revenge in signing the treaty with the nations that were defeated in the war. Peace could not be established with the treaty. Socialist Russia was not given a place in the League of Nations. America did not join the League of Nations. That's why it can be said that the reason for the Second World War was in the peace process of the First World War itself. The Russian Revolution of 1917 is considered an important event in world history. The Russians had been oppressed and suppressed by the Tsar of Russia. The Russian Tsars, who inherited the position, were all dictators and enjoyed uncontrolled rule over people. People did not have any rights during this period. The Tsars were so cruel and pitiless on people that if anyone demanded any rights, he was tortured, suppressed, and severely punished or condemned to be sent to the bone-chilling and dead cold of Siberia. This uncontrolled and oppressive Tsardom became the reason for grief, poverty, and suffering among people. The Russian farmers, laborers, and peasants were not getting enough income despite working very hard. They became very poor. Under the leadership of Father Gapon, a large rally was taken out to the Tsar's residence, Winter Palace, on January 22, 1905, Sunday. These people were unarmed, while some had the Tsar's picture in hand with captions like "Long live the little white lord of Russia" written on it. The Tsar's army opened fire on these innocent people, because of which thousands of innocent people died, and the snow in Petersburg, where the Tsar's palace was situated, turned red with blood. This day is known as Bloody Sunday in history. Around this time, a large number of Russians got provoked and became restless, as the weaknesses of the Tsardom had become obvious when a small nation like Japan had defeated a massive nation like Russia in the Russia-Japan War, which took place from 1904 to 1905. In order to pacify the angry Russians, an announcement to call for a Duma Legislative Assembly, which had not been called for years, was made. Eventually, 4 such Duma were called, but before it could take steps to satisfy the citizens, it had been called off. On the 8th of March, 1917, the oppressed workers of Petrograd called for a strike. The Tsar sent his troops to contain this event, but the army refused to shoot these people. As a result, the revolution began. After the fall of the Tsardom, the power fell into the hands of the Kerensky-led Menshevik group, also known as the Minority. Except for Lenin, everyone in Russia was happy with the fall of the Tsar. But Lenin believed in the importance of laborers as propagated by Karl Marx, while the Menshevik group believed in the importance of the middle class. As a result, Lenin instigated the Bolsheviks against the Mensheviks, and in November 1917 declared the final revolution and got the reins in his hands. This came to be known as the Socialist Bolshevik Revolution. Thus the 300-years-old Tsardom came to an end, and for the first time Russia was without a Tsar. The horrors of the World War explained the absolute necessity of world peace to the nations of the world. And for this, a need for an international organization was felt, so it became necessary to think actively and immediately about world peace. The American President Woodrow Wilson had contributed substantially in the establishment of the League of Nations. The 14 points suggested by Woodrow Wilson were presented during the Paris peace process on January 10, 1920. The League of Nations was formed. Aims of the League of Nations: 1. To maintain international peace and security. 2. Every nation to respect the unity and integrity of other nations. 3. To give up the policy of war. 4. To develop international relations. 5. To solve international disputes peacefully through negotiation or mediation. 6. If any nation ignores the League of Nations or its mediations, it would be declared as a rebel nation. The League of Nations, established for world peace, did not manage to keep a control over the imperialist policies of the superpowers, and in 1939 the Second World War began.